Good day to all. Good day to all. This is Nurturing of Our Humanity. This is my Wednesday live, and we're going to use a green theme for this one. Let's get right to it. So, the title of this video is Water Training Season. This is something that I guess you could say, uh, I'm just going to use this term to describe a particular season. It's a very important season. It's a foundational season, but it's a big part of gardening. So, of course, you start off in the beginning with like a nursery situation, starting your seeds and your seedlings and all your brand new stuff. Then the plants go into a phase of just starting to feel themselves. So they're very sensitive. You don't really need to add fertilizers and things. They move through that phase with usually pretty constant watering, but with a good drying out in between, or a good medium that will allow them to not oversaturate or hold that and be muddy. Soon after that season, you get into the season of really where the growth starts kicking in, where they start really setting up their own sets of natural leaves or their true growing leaves. And at that point, it's really about just starting to introduce fertilizers to them and things of that sort. Definitely not in too high of consumption uh, positions, um, but definitely starting to learn to start to push the gas and give them what they need and make them start understanding what they're going to be doing from their root base. Soon after that, at least for me, I'm in the ground then. Then I'm adding dry amendments and things of that sort. So in the process of that little in-between session, because a lot of people just say it goes from like seedling to vegetative growth to flowering. And this is with the particular plant of sativa or indica or something of that sort. Um, but there's a season in there when you're trying to really grow beautiful plants, big plants. And that season is happening right now. And the way I'm going to describe it is with the term water training season. Now, there's a lot of philosophy and stuff going in, but anyway, this is my channel. This is my talk, and I'm gonna talk my stuff and tell you what I've come to realize in 3 decades of gardening. And I wouldn't say all 3 of those decades were like extremely like running experiments and testing theories, but at the same time, um, I've picked up a good amount of game right there, good amount of knowledge and understanding. So what I've come to realize is that in the water training season, and what's very important is not only what you water and how often you water, but how often you do not water. Having the balls to allow the plant to even suffer a little bit, just to show you, not for you to assume it. Definitely don't put it on a schedule like we've been put on schedules. They don't care about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. They don't care about that. What they do care about is the medium they're in, the type of fertilizer you're using, the water, uh, the weather, big time. So being an attentive gardener or becoming masterful in gardening is really about starting to listen to the plant and not telling the plant what to do. I think that is a big part of the mastery of gardening, and you have to slow down and really learn to communicate with a plant that gives such subtle details of what it's going through and when it's in trouble and stuff like that. But in the water training season, to really get into this and make sure I put some meat and potatoes on this topic, water training is giving a very aggressive and thorough watering and then not watering until the plant is thirsty. That is really what you're trying to do in water training. Because, in my belief, I don't have science to back this, but I truly believe that before the plant gets thirsty, when it's starting to realize that it's having a little bit of a hard time getting to, it starts moving at an extreme. And I mean, the roots have an explosion, I would say, of growth as they're really hurrying to find what the plant needs because it can't find it, which means the roots are now growing outward looking for what they need. That's very important. The roots also need oxygen and freshness down there. If you're constantly hitting them with water, you won't be able to get air down to the root system. You won't be able to get that air down to the biology and stuff that's living down in the soil. You'll actually make a toxic situation. So there's a lot of good reasons to not water and to let things dry up. But one of the main ones is the life of the soil. If it's just constantly under constant watering, it's going to not be good for the life in the soil. Um, so, but every time you water the plant heavily and then let it find all that moisture and then run it out, the root base is growing faster than if you're giving it constant water 3 times a week and just basically giving it everything it needs in one little spot, which means the roots will very likely stay in that one spot where you constantly overdo the inputs. Problem is, when you get to the next season after water training season, then we're in flowering season. And when we get into the flowering season, now we need big, long, strong, healthy roots to feed the big fruits that we're trying to grow. So at that point, then the advantage comes from being very disciplined with how you water and when you water and the amounts you water. I want to read this off because I wrote this before when I wrote this down. Water season training is a time to be masterful with the applications and timely with the weather, meaning that as you're checking the weather report, as you're seeing what's going on the next 5, 7 days, right now, yesterday or starting today, we're in uh, heat warning or whatever. Our weather's not going to change much. I've looked at the 10-day. Our weather's going to be in the 70s at the high side and the 60s on the low side. So we're in a beautiful pocket of weather. So that's not extreme, but every once in a while out here, and often at times, we get what's called Santa Ana wind conditions when the winds come from the east and they blow over the land toward the ocean instead of from the ocean towards the land. When the winds blow their normal direction from the ocean to the land, we get cooling and good humidity in the air. When the winds switch and reverse and they blow from the inland to the water, our stuff dries out. When those conditions are coming, and the air is so dry like that, it increases the demand for water in the plants. So by learning to ride with the weather report, you're actually being such much of a you're being such a better gardener than telling it, oh, it's Tuesday and this is your Tuesday dose. Oh, it's Friday. This is your Friday dose. That's trying to regiment something that is freestyle. Um, no two gardening seasons are the same. No two sunsets are the same. You need to be able to go with the flow, to say the least. So with that, I'm going to ramp this down and just say thank you for letting me get my vent off. Um, yeah, so that's it for this week and my Wednesday live. And I appreciate anybody who sees this, likes it, comments on it, or maybe even decides to share it to somebody who they think might appreciate that information. But with that said, this is Nurturing of Our Humanity. This is me over here at it. And I will see you guys next Wednesday with another good topic and hopefully some thoughtful follow up to go with it. Till then, peace out.